Daniel Owens,
Here.
Casey Owens,
Here.
Gary Prater,
Here.
Christy Ross,
Here.
Scott Rubley,
Here.
Tommy Savage,
Here.
Tyrone Spartman,
Here.
Joseph Stotts,
Here.
Philip Stout,
Here.
Cole Taylor,
Here.
Blaine Wiltshire.
Here.
Is Mr. Dunlap supposed to be on?
He's not going to be present.
Okay, all right. 23 present.
All right, 23 present. At this time, I would entertain a motion to accept the
Mr.
docket.
Chairman, you really need to make a motion, or someone needs to accept Zoom platform and allow those 4 commissioners that are.
Okay. Thank you, Executive Haley. We need a motion to accept the electronic format.
Commissioner, I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Hilton and a second from Commissioner Savage. Anyone want to speak to that motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Thank you, Executive Haley. Next is the adoption of our docket. As I said earlier, I would entertain a motion to adopt our docket.
Make that motion.
We have a motion from Commissioner Bell. We have a second from Commissioner Stotts. Anyone want to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Motion passes. Next is reading of the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we dispense the reading minutes and approve them as presented.
We have a motion from Commissioner England to dispense with the reading and approve as
Second.
written. We have a second from Commissioner Helton. Anyone want to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. At this time, we have public comment, and I don't know of any public comment at this time, okay? We will go into special recognition, and I believe Commissioner Stotts has a recognition, and Commissioner Sparkman.
Allie, on behalf of the Warren County Commission, all the way from Mr. Bowland around to Mr. Lee, we'd like to present you with this employee recognition, recognizing your graduation from the academy and recognizing you being a third-generation officer for the county. And we'd also like to present you with this flag in memory of your father and his service to this community and surrounding communities. You're very welcome.
All right, next is County Executive Haley.
As everyone knows, the last year has been a challenge for the county in so many ways, not only to law enforcement, but also county employees, but also our EMS service. And so with the pandemic and COVID calls and trying to protect employees, despite all the challenges, our EMS Director, Preston Denny, gave tireless service to our community and leadership to the whole EMS service. He is well respected by every employee that he has on staff. He is well respected across the community in 911 and at the hospital and all the medical treatment centers and facilities across this county. So recently, as most of you know, and I'm going to read this out of the award recipient banquet bulletin. Warren County EMS is described as a one-stop shop EMS service that is primarily a 911 service, but in a rural community, the service also manages the transportation between doctor appointments, dialysis, hospital transfer when they are not on a 911 call. In 2020, the service managed greater than 8,000 runs. The EMS services staff includes 33 medical personnel, of which 17 are full-time critical care paramedics, 8 are full-time advanced EMTs, and 12 part-time paramedics and EMTs, along with 2 bookkeepers and the service director. The service is known for being proactive with their protocols and care put in place. They've been able to place ventilators on all the ambulances to include backup ventilators. Currently, the service is training site for AHA and manage 43 instructors and provide CPR and first aid training to all the school systems and many medical facilities across the county. The nominee summarized that it takes a team effort for a great EMS service, and Warren County service is a great example of that. And so, as you know, recently EMS received the Bob Thomas ALF Service Award for the whole state of Tennessee as the EMS Ambulance Service of the Year. And with that, I would like to recognize Mr. Preston Denny for his leadership throughout the challenges, and also with the loss of his father the last couple of weeks. His father was able to know that he and that service, ambulance service, had won this award. So, Preston, if you would come forward.
I just want to say thanks to all of y'all. And what we do, we couldn't do without y'all, without Jimmy, the guys at the service, and Robert. He helps me out a lot. I have to call him from time to time. So, like I said, we'll continue to do more. And I feel like we've grew over the last 5 or 6 years, and hopefully over the next 10 or 12, we'll grow even more. Thank you.
Not everyone we recognize here is always a county employee, but we have special partners across the counties and agencies and organizations, some of whom you will hear present tonight, requesting funding as nonprofits in order to better serve our community. As you know, government cannot do everything. We cannot serve all people, and it takes organizations and support agencies in order to make that happen across this county. And we've been blessed for the last 30 plus years. I've been serving this community, 40 plus, if you include all my teaching as well, to work with many of these organizations. One person that I would like to recognize for her contribution, not only to the Warren County Senior Center, but across this community as a volunteer. During the COVID pandemic that we've been challenged by over the last year or more, Lana was always there working with me with the Senior Center, trying to still provide meals and feeding programs and work with other agencies. She was there when we did the census, helping to promote and PR and carry out and fulfill the grant that we were awarded in order to complete that census. But her work at the Senior Center, and now that we're back reopened again, has been outstanding. And she's turned around an agency and continued to provide services and lift up the elderly. And like I said, she's assisted in scheduling these clinics across the county in order to get more people vaccinated against COVID. So tonight, I would also like to recognize Lana Whitlock from the Warren County Senior Center.
Thank you, Mr. Haley. Thank you, guys, everyone in the court. It takes teamwork. It takes all of us to come together for this county. We live in a beautiful place. Everyone is important. I have strived. I've helped with anything and everything that this county's needed, and will continue to work every day that we can. If you need something, I'm there. Give me a call. It's just, it's important for us to come together and do what we can for each other. Thank you, and thank you for always asking me to help, so, thank you.
We got 2 proclamations tonight. I'm going to read the Safe Digging Month proclamation first, and then save the one that we had the event for downtown for last. So it says, whereas each year the underground utility infrastructure of Warren County is jeopardized through unintended damage by those who do not contact 811 to have underground lines located prior to digging, resulting in undesired consequences such as service interruption, damage to the environment, personal injury, or even death. Whereas Tennessee 811 and its nearly 600 member utilities promote the call before you dig number in an effort to reduce these damages. And whereas designated by the FCC in 2005, 811 provides potential excavators and homeowners a simple number to reach, the one call center to request utility line locations at the intended dig site. Whereas through education of safe digging practices, excavators, homeowners, and others can save time and money and help keep our nation safe and connected by making a simple contact to 811 in advance of any digging project, waiting the required amount of time, respecting the mark lines by maintaining a visual definition throughout the course of the excavation work, and digging with care around those marks. Whereas safe digging is a shared responsibility to know what's below ground surface, please contact 811 before you dig. Therefore, I, County Executive Jimmy Haley, do proclaim the month of April 2021 as Safe Digging Month in Warren County and encourage all citizens to join me in this observance. And some of you joined us downtown today. District Attorney Lisa Zavianis hosted an event downtown. She's hosted events for years in recognition of National Crime Victims Week. And so it was well attended, and several of you from this commission were downtown today and elected officials. And so I'd like to read this proclamation. It was jointly done between the City of McMinnville and Mayor Chastain and myself, and was read aloud today at the event. It says, whereas in 1982, the President's Task Force on Victims of Crime envisioned a national commitment to a more equitable and supportive response to victims. And whereas this commemorative week celebrates the energy, perseverance, and commitment that launched the Victims' Rights Movement, inspired its progress, and continues to advance the cause of justice for crime victims. And whereas crime can leave a lasting impact on any person, regardless of age, national origin, race, creed, religion, gender, sexual orientation, immigration, or economic status. And whereas incorporating communities' existing experts and trusted sources of support into this effort to help fully serve survivors will develop a criminal justice system response that is truly accessible and appropriate for all victims of crime. And whereas the unwavering support of their communities and victim service providers behind them, survivors will be empowered to face their grief, their loss, their fear, anger, and hope without fear of judgment, and will feel understood, heard, and respected. Whereas serving victims and rebuilding their trust restores hope to victims and survivors, as well as supports thriving communities. Whereas engaging a broader array of healthcare providers, community leaders, faith-based organizations, educators, and businesses can provide new links between victims and services that improve their safety, healing, and access to justice. And whereas honoring the rights of victims, including the rights to be heard and to be treated with fairness, dignity, and respect, and working to meet their needs rebuilds their trust in the criminal justice system and social service systems as well. And whereas National Crime Victims Week provides an opportunity to recommit to ensuring that all victims of crime, especially those who are challenging to reach or to be served, are offered culturally and linguistically accessible and appropriate services in the aftermath of that crime. Whereas the City of McMinnville and Warren County is hereby dedicated to strengthening victims and survivors in the aftermath of crime, building resilience in our communities and our victim responders, and working for a better future for all victims and all survivors. Therefore, the City of McMinnville Mayor Ryle Chastain and I, Warren County Executive Jimmy Haley, do proclaim the week of April 18th through 24th as Crime Victims' Rights Week, and reaffirm this community's commitment to creating a victim service and criminal justice response that assists all victims of crime during the Crime Victims' Rights Week and throughout the year, and to express our sincere gratitude and appreciation for those community leaders, victim service providers, criminal justice professionals who are committed to improving our response to all victims of crime so that they may find relevant assistance, support, justice, and peace. And so that was delivered today. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, Executive Haley, if you would, your executive report.
I think all of you received a copy of that. It was several pages long. If you've got any questions, you can call my office or ask them tonight. I will say that one of the questions I got asked was what was wrong with the tire pump station out here by the county admin building. So it was broken, and Bridgestone supplied another one, and we'll be picking that up and installing that back. So we've had several questions about that as well.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve the report from Commissioner Lee. We have a
I have a question.
Okay, you have a question?
One thing, I don't think we've filled Turkey Battle's constable position, and I wanted to know what the status was, or how we go ahead and get that filled, and when can we get that done?
There has to be training before that's done, otherwise the person can't fulfill that position. So we're waiting for the next training session to take place. And that's several months from now, so we have to wait for that. And so all the other constables are covering for it right now, so it will get done as quickly as we can get some training in, or a person that can receive the training.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second from Commissioner Stout. Anyone want to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next is the Finance Department report. Director Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, if you have any questions, I believe you have my report. I'll do my best to answer them at this time.
Move to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Rubley to approve the report. We have a second from Commissioner Helton. Anyone want to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next is the Warren County Animal Control and Adoption Center quarterly report. I do not see Director Bradley here. As the chairman of that committee, if anyone has any questions, I can try to answer them. If not, I would entertain a motion to accept the report as presented in your packet. We have a motion from Commissioner Stotts. We have a second from Commissioner Sparkman. Anyone want to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next, the Health Department quarterly report. And I'll have to do the same on that. I don't believe Director Fox is here. We have a motion from Commissioner Savage to approve. We have a second from Commissioner Helton. Anyone want to speak to those motion or that motion?
They're probably all tired and couldn't come.
Probably so. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next, IDB quarterly financial report. Director Don Alexander.
Good evening, Commissioners. It's great to be back. You have a copy of our financial report. I'll try to answer any questions you might have.
To accept?
We have a motion from Commissioner Stotts. We have a second from Commissioner Bell. Anyone want to speak to that motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to speak to that, please. This is Commissioner Ross.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Ross.
I would like to get an update on the hotel. Maybe a projected completion date. I haven't seen a large amount of work going on over there. I pass by there quite often, and I know probably supplies are short, but I would like to get an update on that, please.
Yes, work does continue, and talking with the owner today, the plans are if all the electrical components and things like that can come in from China, they want to be in operation in the middle of June. Thank you for your question, Commissioner Ross.
All right,
Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman.
Brown, I believe you had a question.
That was my question.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Hennessy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Alexander, I was just curious. I noticed in your report here you had a line item on the Rock Island Mill project. I was just curious to see where we're at on that and what the future looks for that prospect. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. The Rock Island Old Mill is a study that we've been involved in now for several months. It is basically complete. There are a few things that they're just trying to work through. We have basically conveyed the information to the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation State Parks Division. And that happened as recently as Friday, and I have not had a chance to get that copies made for the Industrial Development Board, but there are copies in the Rock Island State Park offices right now, and I will be glad to send, I know you've asked about it before, Commissioner Hennessy, I will be glad to send you a copy directly, and we'll get that.
Any other questions?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Alexander.
I'm a little unprepared on this question, but I just wanted to say that it has basically moved to where it has pushed to focus groups that will kind of work with that. And naturally, the owners of the property are the state parks, and so they will use that information along with funding possibilities, which is big driver anyway. Mm-hmm. So we'll be moving along with that, and hopefully we'll be preserving the old mill.
Right. All right. If no other questions, all in favor say aye. 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 Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Next, the Warren County Planning Commission. Is Mr. Tommy Lee here?
Mr. Chairman, I'll be glad to speak
Commissioner Lee.
for Tommy the best I can. If there's any questions on the report that anybody has, I may not be able to answer them tonight, but I'll get you an answer somehow. Thank you.
Move to adopt.
We have a motion from Commissioner Rubley. Have a second from Commissioner Stout. Anyone want to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Commissioner Lee. Next, we'll go into committee reports. First committee is Budget and Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We don't have a lot to report tonight. We are going to commence budget discussion tomorrow night at 5:30. We're going to be going over some of the simple budgets, and we're going to really get our feet wet next week. But we're beginning that process tomorrow night at 5:30 in the early vote room.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Next, Building and Grounds. Commissioner Bolden.
Building and Grounds has nothing to report at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Economic and Agricultural Development. Commissioner Bolden.
Last Tuesday, I think it was the 13th, we met at the airport and toured it, and those that were present received a really informative tour of the facilities. My first time past the front doors, I was very impressed. It's well maintained. The new director is he's full of energy and several good ideas. I think that the airport will be headed in the right direction. I believe it'll be a benefit to the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Education. Commissioner Brown.
Yes, sir. We had a very, very good, informative education meeting last month, for the month of April. Director Swallows is actually on this meeting tonight if you really want to know something in addition. So I'm just going to give you some highlights, and if you have additional questions later, just let me know. But the West Elementary project is in the final phase now. They're doing the punch list, and it shouldn't be too long before that is 100% complete. For the COVID report from the Warren County School System last week, they had 6 isolated students and 59 quarantined. There were no isolated or quarantined staff members. And they've contributed that mostly because the staff members have been vaccinated, and that's helping keep those numbers down. The Warren County Health Department is offering vaccines at the high school for students who are 16 and above with parental permission. There's plans in the process right now for graduation and the prom. The graduation ceremony is expected with tickets being limited to students for 4 each. The prom is in preparation. It's going to be an outdoor-indoor prom, and if on the inside, you will be required to wear a mask. Other schools are planning their end-of-the-year graduation celebrations, and some of them may be drive-thrus. Director Swallows also gave us an extensive report on the stimulus money. With all the 3 phases that have come in, the school system has been granted $28.8 million in stimulus money. The first was the $1.8 million, which was mostly to get us back into school and to pay for all the supplies of virtual learning, everything that was involved in that. And that has to be completed by 9/30/2022. The $8.3 million, he presented a budget to us of items that totaled up to $6.9 million. We went over several of those projects. Nothing has a final bid on it yet, but they're moving forward with that. The last money, which was the $18.7 million, a lot of discussions going on with that. Exactly what the proposed budget has not been finalized, as the school board and he and members of his staff are reviewing numerous things to make improve, learning environment for schools and for children. And then the last thing that I was going to let you know is that in the General Assembly for fiscal year 21-22, the Hold Harmless funding bill is still active, a little bit more positive than it was before. It's in the House Ways and Means Committee right now. If we do lose that money, we are looking at losing $1.5 million for next school academic year. However, they are working with the stimulus money to try to find ways to use the federal money to use for operations of the school system so that we will be able to not deplete our money from the general purpose fund. All of this is just a strategic plan that has to be put in place, and it's going to be very difficult. It's a complicated process because, especially in construction projects, you have to all compete for the same people that are out there in our community. Director Swallows also has on our agenda tonight the $1,000 stipend, which we'll address that when that amendment comes up, and there's also plans right now in process for us to go back to a 5-day school week next year, and with hoping to make that possible by having the teachers not have to do the virtual instruction programs in addition to their regular teaching jobs. That's why it was so difficult for them in this past whole entire school year. So hopefully they'll have those teachers in place. And he also reported that we have a lot of teachers who have signed up for the school programs that's going to be offered this summer to try to help catch those students that did get behind during this pandemic semester. And the next school board meeting is on April the 22nd at 5 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Financial Management, Executive Haley.
Not a lot to report. You see, we've been busy because much of what's on the agenda for tonight went through financial management and budget and finance as well, but we'll be calling a meeting here in the next few days for the next meeting for financial management.
Thank you, Executive Haley. Next, Health and Welfare, and what I would like to say is if you've paid attention, we are discussing just possibilities of a tethering ordinance, and what we're doing right now in that committee is basically just gathering information. As I've stated many times, we're not going after any pet owner that is responsible and takes care of their animals, and we're not technically going after any pet owner. We're just looking at ways of taking care of those that are not taken care of properly. And I welcome any questions. My cell number is actually on the website. It's my real cell number, and you can call me or text me, and I will answer you at some point and discuss it with you. But that's all we're doing right now is just going through and talking about it and researching it and seeing if there's anything that we can do for those animals that aren't getting taken care of. All right, next is the Legislative Committee. Ms. Brown, Commissioner Brown.
Mr. Chairman, you missed Highway Bridge.
I'll come back to you. Go ahead, Commissioner Brown.
I have nothing to report at this time.
All right, thank you. Highway and Bridge, Commissioner Prater.
All right now, the new bridge, Nut Cut Cove is open, and the mowers are running every day, and our new track hoe, the 313 Cat, has come in, and everything looks good at the Highway Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Prater. Next is Policy and Personnel, Commissioner Savage.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, Policy and Personnel has nothing to report. However, we will be having a meeting next week. It's too late to call one for this week, so we'll be calling one for next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Safety Committee, Commissioner Ron Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, we'd like to thank once again our EMS and our Sheriff's Department for all the fine work they're doing, and it's good to see construction getting started on our build out. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, County Corrections Partnership, Commissioner Stotts.
Thank you, Chairman Wiltshire. At this time, County Corrections Partnership has nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, Redistricting Committee, Commissioner England.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, our committee has nothing to report.
Thank you. All right, with that being said, we have no old business. We'll go into new business. Item number 1 is to consider the extension of the COVID-19 policy. Executive Haley.
I think Mr. Britton is also on Zoom, so he's out of town at a meeting. You remember at the beginning of the year, we considered and voted on, the commission did, to have the COVID policy in place for employees. And so we said we would renew it if it was needed. And so the recommendation from Mr. Britton was just to continue this on for another 3 months and revisit it again later on in the year. We did have to shut down some departments just 2 weeks ago, so we're still facing COVID and employees, so this will be a way to protect our employees and protect the county's liability as well.
Is there a motion? We have a motion from Commissioner Helton to continue the COVID-19 policy.
Second.
Commissioner Glenn, I'm sorry, second from Commissioner Brown. Would anybody like to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Next item is Amendment
Mr. Chair?
GFFY. Yes, is that Commissioner Prater?
No, Mr. Chairman, this was David Britton. I was just going to ask if I could be excused from the meeting.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Britton. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 2 is Amendment GFFY 2021-17. Create budget line to transfer funds from General Fund to Fund 189, other capital projects to establish the matching for ARC grant. Grant supplies $175,000 and requires a $136,000 match. $88,252.61 currently resides in Fund 189, left over from the sale of airport land. We have a motion from Commissioner Hennessy. We have a second from Commissioner Lee. Would anybody like to speak to that motion?
I would just add a little bit to that, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Commissioner Rubley.
What they have requested was a little higher than this, but what they are going to need for the match, and this match is about 55-45 match grant, and the request is for $48,455.20, and that is for the building that they have been requesting for several years now, and along with the money that they've got in their balance, that will take care of the match. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, call the roll, please, Lisa.
Michael Bell,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden,
Yes.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Stephen Helton,
Yes.
Robert Hennessy,
Yes.
Brad Hillis,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Gary Prater,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone Spartman,
Yes.
Joseph Stotts,
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire.
Yes.
Anyone want to change their vote? 23 yes.
Motion passes 23 yes. Next item is item number 3, Amendment GF FY 2021-18. Appropriate additional $40,000 for continued work on the Trustee DriveThru.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Rubley.
After doing some engineering and some tree removal, we've spent so far about $10,000 tree removal. Had to do a seismic survey as well as some engineering costs. We were thinking that we might be able to do some of this dirt work and excavation in-house, but after looking into it, it's going to be a little more extensive than we thought. So this additional $40,000 should cover the remainder of the project and the additions. This passed Budget, Finance, and Financial Management unanimously, and I so move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Rubley. We have a second from Commissioner Hennessy. Would anybody like to speak to that motion? If not, call the roll, please, Lisa.
Michael Bell,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden,
Yes.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
Yes.
Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Stephen Helton,
Yes.
Robert Hennessy,
Yes.
Brad Hillis,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Gary Prater,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone Spartman,
Yes.
Joseph Stotts,
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire.
Yes.
Anyone want to change your vote? 23 yes.
Motion passes 23-0. Item number 4, Amendment AF FY 2021-3, amend budget to cover the reinstatement of the day truck in order to facilitate dialysis transports.
So move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Lee.
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Savage. Anyone want to speak to that motion?
I just like to add a little bit to that,
Commissioner
Mr.
Rubley.
Chairman, for information purposes. Several of the healthcare facilities around the county have asked that Preston's people do the dialysis runs, and right now they're outsourcing that to other places. Preston has asked for this money basically to fund part-time personnel. He's got the equipment to do it. The only thing that he needs is the money to be moved for the part-time funding. The gross revenue on these patients for a year is approximately $80,000, so it is a moneymaker. And Preston has assured us that there will be no issues. And if we don't have any dialysis patients, then we don't have any expense because it's part-time. And that's all I've got to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? All right. If not, call the roll, please, Lisa.
Michael Bell,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden,
Yes.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Stephen Helton,
Yes.
Robert Hennessy,
Yes.
Brad Hillis,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Gary Prater,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone Spartman,
Yes.
Joseph Stotts,
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire.
Yes.
Anyone want to change your vote? 23 yes.
Motion passes 23-0. Item number 5, Amendment AF FY 2021-4, transfer funds from medical personnel to bookkeepers to cover bonus funds.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Rubley.
Just like to speak on that as well. This came through Budget Finance. Because of the bonuses that were approved in the previous session, Preston experienced a shortfall in 119, which is accountants and bookkeepers, and it's only 1875, but that had to be added because of the bonus that was approved last month. And I so move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Rubley, have a second from Commissioner England. Anyone want to speak to that motion? If not, call the roll, please, Lisa.
Michael Bell,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden,
Yes.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Stephen Helton,
Yes.
Robert Hennessy,
Yes.
Brad Hillis,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Gary Prater,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone Spartman,
Yes.
Joseph Stotts,
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire.
Yes.
Anyone want to change their vote? 23 yes.
Motion passes 23-0. Item number 6, Amendment GPFY 2021-6.
Let me go ahead.
Yes. Go ahead, Director Cotton.
This is an amendment for the general purpose school system to do a number of things, but in order to expedite the process, they've kind of been lumped together as they went through the school board. The biggest piece is $265,000 of COVID stipends that the school system will be reimbursed for through the BEP. They have received $106,200 already. They anticipate receiving the rest of it in the June payment. The other items here are cleanup items to move funds mainly from travel to other locations to do things that are needed. And then there is one transfer of $45,000 into secretaries with the Office of Principal due to turnover.
We have a motion from Commissioner Bell. We have a second from Commissioner Owens. Anybody want to speak to that motion? If not, call the roll, please, Lisa.
Michael Bell,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden,
Yes.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Stephen Helton,
Yes.
Robert Hennessy,
Yes.
Brad Hillis,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Gary Prater,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone Spartman,
Yes.
Joseph Stotts,
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire.
Yes.
Anyone want to change their vote? 23 yes.
Motion passes 23-0. Next item is item number 7, Amendment DSFY 2021-1. Director Cotton.
Yes, we did a refunding, if you recall, last fiscal year, that involved both county and school debt. When we budgeted for the repayment of the refunding, we budgeted for it all as general fund. At the behest of the comptroller, we are reclassifying the school portion so that it will be more apparent for their work purposes and for the State Department of Ed. So we are moving funds from general debt to education debt. The small amount of appropriation in here is just due to the timing of that repayment.
Move to adopt.
We have a motion from Commissioner Owens. We have a second from Commissioner Stout. Anyone want to speak to that motion? If not, call the roll, please, Lisa.
Michael Bell,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden,
Yes.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Stephen Helton,
Yes.
Robert Hennessy,
Yes.
Brad Hillis,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Gary Prater,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone Spartman,
Yes.
Joseph Stotts.
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire.
Yes.
Anyone want to change your vote? 23 yes.
Motion passes 23-0. Next item is item number 8. Approved transportation outsourcing RFP. Director Cotton. Is Director Swallows on?
Yes, I am.
All right, if you would.
So, want to let you know, thanks for letting me be on to discuss this. We, of course, outsource our transportation, been doing that for a number of years in Warren County. We put this out to bid actually twice. In the month of February, we put it out, only had one bidder, and so we felt like it was important to rebid and give others the opportunity to put in a bid. And after all was said and done, we only had one bidder the second time, which is Durham Transportation. That's our current provider. The school board did accept their proposal, and it's actually the alternate proposal, which keeps the price a little bit lower than the initial bid, simply by allowing for fewer new buses to be purchased every year, which will still keep us ahead of the curve and make sure our fleet is operational and done well. So appreciate the commission considering the acceptance of that bid.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Rubley.
This passed the respective committees unanimously, and I so move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Rubley. We have a second from Commissioner Bell. Would anybody like to speak to that motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Savage.
I'd like to ask Director Swallows, is the salaries of the bus drivers going to be affected any by this? I know if you're doing something cheaper, you're going to have to cut somewhere.
Well, that's a good question, Commissioner Savage. It is not cheaper. We are actually paying more this time than we did the last time, but I do not believe that Durham would be cutting salaries, certainly, but we understand that prices are going up all across the board, including fuel, but I didn't mean to say that what we're paying is cheaper, but the initial bid was more, about 20% more. This alternate proposal is about 3% more on a sliding scale.
Thank you.
Thank you. If no other questions, Lisa, call the roll, please.
Michael Bell,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden,
Yes.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Stephen Helton,
Yes.
Robert Hennessy,
Yes.
Brad Hillis,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Gary Prater,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone Spartman,
Yes.
Joseph Stotts,
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire.
Yes.
Anyone want to change your vote? 23 yes.
Motion passes 23-0. Next item is approve appointment of the Audit Committee, or to the Audit Committee, I'm sorry.
Yes,
Executive
Mr.
Haley.
Chairman and the Commission, as you know, we have an audit committee that is state mandated. Auditors are here all the time. We have to report to the controller, so they will come in and audit our books. And if any findings or reports that need to come back, it has to be reviewed by the audit committee. And then Finance Director and myself, we have to work through a plan of corrective measure. Richard Grissom did serve on this committee, and we've got to be setting a date for a meeting of our audit committees here soon. And so with the resignation of Richard Grissom, I would entertain a motion to place Robert Hennessy. They only meet once a year, so we'll be meeting in about 2 weeks. But my recommendation is Robert Hennessy as the County Commission appointee to the Audit Committee.
So moved.
So moved.
We have
Second.
a motion from Commissioner Lee. I believe we have a second from Commissioner Glenn. Anyone want to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is item number 10, approval of notaries.
Make a motion, we approve those.
All right, we have a motion that we approve the list that we have here. We have a second from Commissioner Glenn. The motion is from Commissioner Owens. Anyone want to speak to that motion? Lisa, would you read the list, please?
This is the following list: Matt Brown, Robert Oliver Bratcher, Danielle McCormick, Kimberly Peterson, Kevin W. Roten, James W. Brock, Graciela Gutierrez, Jackie Elliott, Jana Wilson Ringman, Leslie E. Hayes, Carolyn Meacham, Angela L. McCormick, and Teresa Haston Wanamaker.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any opposed? All right, motion carries. With that, we'll go into our special presentation, and what I do want to mention before we go into this is that in order to be fair with our nonprofits, we have limited the nonprofits with 4 minutes, and we want to do the same with the ESG if possible to be fair. And I have to appoint Commissioner Stotts to be the bad guy and let us know when we have a minute left each time. And he doesn't like this job, but it's the only way we can be fair. And we know if there's any questions afterward, we can get with these people at any time and ask them any questions we need. All right, Executive Haley.
Well, as you know, we've had the CSG project going on for well over a year. We piggybacked onto the school system CSG project. And so we've had John Waddle here as project manager. Josh McNeil presented this over a year and a half ago. COVID delayed much of the work at the jail. And as you know, it was 2 different projects, the energy savings portion plus the jail portion. And so several of you have been asking about when we're going to close this out and we're going to make final payment and when we've signed off on it. And so we'll be making final payment to ESG soon. The contract is still open to be closed at a future date. But we've got Josh McNeil here with ESG if he's ready to roll with the presentation. And if you've got any additional questions, you can direct those to me at Josh if there's enough time.
Thank you. Mr. McNeil.
Sorry, I apologize. I was on mute. Good evening, everyone. Lauren, I just assume I can share my screen in the presentation. Let's try this. You see the presentation? Yes. Okay, good deal. Yeah, to be respectful of the time, I know there's a lot going on tonight, so I'll quickly go through this and happily answer any questions you have. All of you have met me. I look forward to being there again in person. Just real quick, whenever we started this process, I think everyone understands the condition that the county buildings and the jail were in. A lot of old equipment, 70% was over 15 years. In addition to that, you had some bad roofs, leaky buildings, old lighting, no control system, and the county was spending a lot in utilities as well as just operating costs for that. R22 equipment, all that, is expensive to maintain. At the jail, we discussed operational infrastructure issues there. Again, just failing HVAC lighting, plumbing, non-existent camera systems, broken door locks, leaky showers, can go on and on. There's a couple of pictures just once again, just to kind of set the stage for where we started at. A simple project overview. We did lighting, HVAC, controls, weatherization, water, and roofing work at the jail, health department, courthouse, EMS. I'm calling where y'all are at the main administrative building, as well as the UCHRA. In addition to that, we also did, at the jail, much more than that, which I'll get into more detail: door locks, security cameras, epoxy flooring. We also did some things at the admin building. We added some lighting, and HVAC to animal control and things like that, which I think made a pretty big difference in the long run. Overall, I mentioned the lighting, the water, HVAC, instead of a detailed breakdown of the 70% and all the different buildings that we did HVAC work in, the controls, a little bit of the roof in detail. I mentioned the courthouse, UCHRA, the jail. I'm sure many of you have noticed We replaced the shingle siding at the health department. And other things. There was a leak downstairs in the admin building, so we repaired the foundation and repaired that leak, which was getting all files in the floor and creating a real mess. In addition to, some window tinting at the courthouse, jail, and weatherization is really weather stripping and things like that we did at several of the buildings. The jail specifically, really upgraded the medical pod, cameras. I think in total there was like 121 new cameras added and security systems and monitors to view that. The locks and the intercoms, the mail pods, the intercoms, all that was upgraded. Control system, the epoxy, shower floors, laundry equipment, kitchen equipment. And, there was a lot of different things done at the jail. Quickly, the benefits, I would say overall of the project, this project touched and improved all the county buildings. It was able to stop the massive outflow of dollars, that were going for emergency maintenance at the time. We replaced, 70% of your HVAC. You now have all LED lighting across the county, standardized controls, improved air quality, compliance issues at the jail. They're no longer an issue, which I'll discuss a little more. The basic breakdown was this. It was, a $5.9 million project. Of that, 3.65 was specifically for the jail and funded, via the jail fund. The remaining project was 2.17 and consisted of all the other county buildings that created a good amount of savings, which is going to help fund the debt service. The last thing I'll note, just some quick project notes. Most of the energy savings work, the lighting, the HVAC, the water, as promised, we were really rolling late fall through December, Christmas time, and early in the year. And then ultimately that's when COVID struck. So some jail work, particularly the jail work, took a little longer. The jail was shut down for weeks. Crews being sick, quarantines. It was just a very, hard situation for everybody. But with that said, I just want to use what time I got left to thank the ESG and the Warren County government team, for getting this done. One thing I'll note is that the Tennessee Correctional Institute, believe Bob Bass told County Executive Haley that the Warren County Jail was one of the fastest turnarounds he had ever seen from decertified to certified. That was one of our big original goals and something, that we take a lot of pride in. Lastly, Sheriff Tommy Myers, Jackie Radley, Jack, all the folks at the jail, just a huge thanks. I can't explain just how much of a pleasure they were to work with for a multifaceted jail project with a lot of moving pieces right in the middle of COVID. And then also, huge appreciation for Greg and for all of his help at all of the buildings. He knows everything about these buildings, and none of this could have happened without him.
All right, Josh, I hate to butt in, but what I would like to do, if possible, is there a way that you can send this information that is on these slides so that all the commissioners can review that?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, that was the last one, actually. Oh.
Yeah, there is you did a good job. There's a lot of detail in there that we really would like to take time and look over, and definitely a lot of progress made, and we appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Bolden.
With the money and the investment that we've got in this project, I feel like it's prudent for us to hear what he's got to say.
He was on the last slide. Was you on the last slide, Josh?
Yeah, I was on the last slide. The only sentence that was left was County Executive Haley mentioned the project, recently coming to a close. With that, the control system, being there and being calibrated, and so. I should be able to come back again, here in the coming months and present, real accurate savings updates to present that information. And that's it.
Thank you, Executive Haley.
And I did want to say, we've left that contract open as we look at doing upgrades out at the airport. There is a possibility that we could piggyback and add on to the existing contract and fast pace the work, particularly on the roofs and the insulation and the lighting that needs to be done at the airport. Be an add-on as well. So we're leaving that option open for discussion, but we'll need to act on that fairly soon if we're going to take that direction.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next is the nonprofits, and I believe the first one up is Red Cross. Is there a representative here from the Red Cross? Okay. Maybe I have the wrong list. Books from birth. Let's try that. Christy Allison.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Autumn Turner. If you don't know, I am the current county coordinator for the Warren County Books from Birth program. I'm going to share just a little bit of information, and then I'm going to let Christy say a few words. The first thing I'd like to say is just thank you for the financial support that you've given us over the past couple of years. And then beyond that, I want to thank you all. If you have children or grandchildren who have received the benefit of having the books mailed to them at home, thank you for making sure that those children in your family or your neighbors, any child that you know that is 5 years old or younger that signed up for the program. We can enroll children, anybody can enroll children at www.governorsfoundation.org. It's free to the child, it's free to the families. And the way that works, I'll tell you a little bit about the basic structure. So most people are aware of the Dolly Parton Foundation, right? The Imagination Library. A lot of people think that she covers the entire cost of the program. What she pays for through her foundation is the cost of mailing the books to the homes of the children. Then in Tennessee, there is a Governor's Early Literacy Foundation. The book costs are shared by the State Early Literacy Foundation and each individual county program. So for Warren County, what our cost is to pay locally half of the cost of all the books that go to children who are enrolled through Warren County. So for us, we have about 1,400 kids in our community in Warren County that receive a free, high-quality, hardback book in the mail every single month until they age out of the program at 5 years old. We also locally have, within the past year, established River Park as an official birthing hospital with the state organization. That means that they pay the cost of the first book, River Park does. They automatically enroll children that are born there. And then that means if they're enrolled there at River Park when they're born, by the time they age out of the program at 5 years old, they get 60 books for free in the mail delivered to their homes. And when we look at what that does for children, I've got a few research points that I want to point out. And this research is coming both from the Imagination Library Foundation and the Governor's Early Literacy Foundation, Dolly Parton's foundation, and the state organization. Research tells us that children with as few as 25 books in the home complete an average of 2 or more years of schooling by the time that they complete their schooling career. So that's really great to think about, that just the fact of children having access to books in their home has such an impact on their educational career. And again, I'll point out that if we're able to enroll kids here in Warren County, when they're born, they get 60. So that's really something that when we think about the cost that we put into it, we get a lot out of it on the return on investment. I shared a minute ago, we have 1,400 kids currently, 1,405 kids in Warren County enrolled in the program as of this month. What that cost us is about $1 a book. So that's a monthly invoice that's taken out of our local account every month. So if you multiply that across the course of a year, it's not quite a $17,000 expense for our local program. When you take that it's run by a volunteer base, that's, you know, it's that thing that keeps me up at night to make sure that we have enough funding coming in to support that annual cost. Some other quick pieces of research that I'll show that is more correlated or associated with school-age outcomes with kids. The Imagination Library participants outperform non-participants in that program on kindergarten readiness exams and are 1.2 times more likely to enter kindergarten reading on grade level. That's what we want for our kids in Warren County. Children receiving Imagination Library books are more likely to score higher in reading and vocabulary on standardized tests all the way to the 2nd and 3rd grade. And here's a research point that is kind of surprising. For kids who are in the Imagination Library program longer, that is correlated with increased school attendance and decreased suspension all the way into 5th grade. And then we all know what we've heard so long about the graduation rates and how kids, if they're reading on grade level by 3rd grade, they're 10 times more likely to graduate, I think. So there's all kinds of school aged outcomes that we get, which is why it's important that the county coordinators stay associated with the school system. And we've got other benefits through our strong partnership with the Early Literacy Foundation, that we get free books for kids that are in school up to 3rd grade, and in free books for teachers and all those things. So lastly, I will introduce Christy Allison, who is going to take over as county coordinator starting now. So we're kind of making sure that transition happens well. And I'll just, if we've got 30 seconds, I'll let her say
All right,
just a word or two.
you're over time, but we'll give Christy 30 seconds. Christy, go ahead.
I just want to say that I'm looking forward to doing this. I've worked with Autumn on this program. I look at kids. I'm in the classroom every day. I've been in 2 schools today, and I see what this benefits our kids. And you all know that I also volunteer with Kids of the Community. Those kids that we've gotten signed up at Kids of the Community, it makes a difference that they have those books in their class, in their homes, from the very beginning. And Autumn and I have worked with that, and I've dropped off stuff at the hospital and stuff, and I'm looking forward to getting to be able to be the county coordinator for doing this, because without reading, nothing else will fall into place. Kids need to be able to read.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, the Magnus Library, Mr. Brad Walker.
Hello, everyone. I think I know a lot of you. The library has done. Do what?
Go ahead, Brad.
The library is kind of a keystone uptown and in the county. I think a lot of people know this. And to the books to the birth, she's absolutely right. I get a lot of the things that she's talking about. We deal with the state with a lot of that. One of our own keystones that we're doing right now is the Capstone Project. I don't know how many of you have actually heard of it. We were 5 years ago asked by Capstone Books to try a trial project, and through the last 5 years we have bought over 1,000 books that are electronic books that the school system can't afford to buy easily, because the school system has to pay per seat per child. So one book for a classroom, they have to buy 30 books. They gave the library the choice that we can buy that book and the whole school can be reading the same book at the same time. So we teamed up with the school librarians to help them. And it really paid off in the last year, because it gave them a much wider set of books that they can use from home to send to the kids and say, we need you to read this book. Those books also do the AR points, the accelerated reader points, the Lexile points. They go from about 3-year-old to 8th grade. And they're one of our big projects that I'm really proud of. It also boosted our circulation from 1 book per person in the county to 4. Which you think 40,000 people, that's 160,000 books that we check out a year to people, even though 1/3 of it is electronic. But it requires us to maintain those things. And the children's room, we work with the children constantly. We have a children's story time once a week that's in Wednesdays at 10 a.m. We have a decent turnout to that all the time. We are one of the oldest libraries in the state, which a lot of people don't know. We were one of the founding libraries of the state system, actually, in 1946. And I recently found out that Miss Cunningham was actually key in the founding of the state library system. But one of the things that we have kind of, I'm going to say this, and I mean no disrespect to anyone, because it hits me as bad as it does you all, is the MOE that everyone knows, the maintenance of effort. It was kind of a stroke of genius of the state, but what it did was it locked us and you into kind of a stalemate, because we've ended up that for the last 17 years we've got $116,000 from the county. We got 48 up until 4 years ago, and we got 58 now from the city. Well, we've built onto the building. We have a 10,000 square foot building. We have 10 employees. Our costs have went up a lot. And we receive funding from the state and federal government through our books, and we receive about $15,000 for books a year, a little over that. And then the board, through donations, has given me $12,000 to buy the rest of the books, the bestsellers and things. And
Okay.
as I said, it's kind of locked us in a place where I can't give a raise to my staff because I have to have actual funding to put onto my budget to do that that's permanent. So the MOE has become a major debate because we need, it's hard whenever I look at employees, and I have 4 employees that make $7.35 an hour. I have to have people that can do computers, that understand forms, that have good personalities, that can work with people, because everybody in the library works with staff, but with the public, but one person. I have 3 employees that make $7.85 an hour. They've been there at least 4 years. We've got 1 raise. That was the $10,000 that the city gave us.
I'm sorry, Brad.
Yes.
Time's up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Next is Main Street, McMinnville. Is Miss Katie here? All right. We'll move on to oh, I'm sorry.
You don't get Katie tonight.
Okay. All
You're
right.
stuck with me.
Yeah.
I know several of you all. Thank you for the time, Commissioners. My name is Cliff Davidson. I'm the newly appointed or elected president of Main Street. So I don't know if you all, most everybody kind of knows what Main Street is, but everybody's a little bit confused about what we do. We basically started out as a kind of a downtown revitalization project, which is what it was all about. We do that through 4 different 4-point structure within our group. We have an organizational committee, economic development restructuring committee, design and promotions. The organization speaks for itself. The economic community development part is where we help business owners or property owners build or dress up their buildings through grants and our design assistance and things like that. So there's a lot of administration cost in that. But what we try to do is bring the right type of mix of businesses downtown. And so we not only recruit them, but we also support them. Another big part of what we do is promoting downtown. The reason that we did this is we started Main Street in '99. I found my signature on something, and I'm a founding member. So we've been at this for a while. It took us 10 years, and then we did Streetscape. And you guys were a huge part of getting us started. You used to fund us, kind of match the city, and slowly that tapered off. We need your assistance again. So we need to increase that some because we're, like you all, are finding it a little bit more competitive now to find good quality directors that have a broad skill set that can manage such a complicated complicated group of organizations or committees. So why do we do it? It's for community pride, quality of life. Why did Cliff do it? It's because I'm a builder. I want people to come here. In order to get people to come here, we need jobs, right? One of the first things that people do is they come downtown and see if we care about our downtown. And together, both city and county and a bunch of volunteers were able to accomplish that. We've kind of grown up though, so it seems like we're done, but we're not really. So right now we're kind of moving into more of a marketing phase where, and with this new announcement that I saw in the paper this weekend with Oracle coming to Nashville, we really need to take advantage. We need to do all that we can to make McMinnville and Warren County look like the place that really is. A bedroom community, a resort community to Nashville is what it feels like to me, because everything you read now, people don't have any place to live, right? So they're coming out here. So if we do a good job of it, we'll get the right spillover out here, and we need your help to do that. You know, I touched on most everything, so I think that's about all I have. And I can give you any details you need. I can't tonight, but I can get all those for you. But we appreciate your support in the past and look forward to a little more support in the future.
Thank you, Cliff.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
What was your dollar amount, sir? I'm taking the minutes. What was your dollar amount?
$20,600.
Thank you.
Yep. And I can tell you real quick what that's some of that is for increased salary and a little support staff, and the other is because we don't hardly have a budget to increase our salary. And then the other was half of the lighting budget for Main Street Live. That's what that's comprised of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Sister Cities, Leanne Stewart.
Bonjour, or good evening. Hi, I'm Leanne Stewart. I'm the chairperson for McMinnville, Warren County Sister Cities organization. Our group started in 1993, establishing our sister city relationship with our Japanese sister city of Mikawa. Each year, there's 10 Warren County students and 10 Mikawa students are chosen to participate in the annual cultural exchange, and our cities alternate hosting duties each year. Those involved in the exchange gain a valuable understanding of community and culture, either by welcoming their Japanese buddy into their home and family, or by staying with their family that they've been paired with when they visit to Mikawa. It's an annual exchange that lasts usually between 10 and 14 days. The exchange benefits not only the students and families involved, but our entire community as well. Japan continues to make increasing economic investments in our county through businesses such as Eurozut and Bridgestone. And our program helps to foster the understanding and appreciation of these different cultures. However, due to the continued COVID-19 pandemic situation, this year's Sister Cities program is being halted once again in the interest of safety to those participating and our communities. The only other time that the program has been halted was last summer due to COVID, and in 2011 following the Fukushima nuclear disaster. So therefore, Sister Cities is not requesting any funding at this time from the County Commission, but we humbly request that you keep us in mind the following year. Hopefully we'll be able to resume our exchange in July of 2022. And when the exchange resumes, we will be hosting, which means that we have 10 students from Mikawa, their 2 chaperones coming, and as the host city, we're responsible for all of the funding when they come to visit us, just like they reciprocate when we visit them. We pay for their lodging and entertainment of the group. We have our own kids that we're moving around as well. So it's a fairly sizable group to have to entertain. Our program would not be possible without the financial support of the County Commission. And so, again, just request that you keep us in mind. Thank you for your time and your past support.
Thank you. Next is TOPS RSVP, Ms. Donna Anderson.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here tonight. Hope you don't mind if I take this off. I'm the director of TOPS RSVP, which is the Tennessee Opportunity Program's Retired Senior Volunteer Program. There's a reason we don't say all that. We say TOPS RSVP. What it is, if you don't know, in 1973, RSVP was started here in Warren County. It started actually in 1971 as a grant from the federal government as a way for seniors over age 55 to stay active in their community. And what we do is we place volunteers in different, we call them stations. I know that many of you have probably benefited, and some of you may be my volunteers actually. We have American Legion Post 173 Honor Guard and Vietnam Veterans, Royce Davenport Chapter 1112, which do military funerals. They also go to schools and do education for children, explaining what Memorial Day is, explaining what Labor Day is, any of the veteran holidays we have, why we have those. We have members in Caring Hearts United who make hospice packages for patients. Central Church of Christ Clothing Room and Food Pantry, they give out tons of clothes each year. Unfortunately, because of COVID, they had been closed, but they have reopened. And they have a clothing room that anybody can come and get clothing. We have a food pantry at Central. Our East End Quilters, we have ladies there that meet each week and do quilting. They give quilts and little stuffed animals to people in the, well, what am I trying to say? Children who may end up in the emergency room at the hospital. We have people at Hamilton Street Activity Center helping with the children who need tutoring in the afternoons. Also, we have ladies there who cook and deliver meals or make meals for those children. Ivy Bluff Church of Christ has a program called Lunch with Love, and also First United Methodist has Good Neighbors where they cook meals and deliver those to people who need the meals, who are unable to get out and get those. Just Friends at St. Thomas River Park, Master Gardeners. We have volunteers at the Warren County Food Bank. Our newest station that we actually started, it was going to start this year anyway, or this past year I should say, and COVID helped push this along. It's called Sunshine Seniors, and we have people who call people who may not have anybody. There are people who are older, or they don't have to be older, they can just be invalid and can't get out. They may not have anybody who can check on them every day. They may not have anybody who calls them every day. So we have volunteers who will call. We have volunteers who go to their homes and visit. One of the biggest things that has come out of COVID that I know 10 years ago we would have never thought about, we have one lady who, she has a flip phone. Well, her doctor did not want her getting out, did not want her coming to visit. She's very much smaller than me, very, very tiny, feeble, and he did not want her getting out. He was very afraid because of some conditions she had that she may get COVID. So we have a volunteer who went to her house and used her iPad, and our volunteer hooked up her iPad so that the lady, I don't want to mention names, so the lady could, what is it called? What are we doing here? Zoom. Her teleconference with her, thank you, teleconference with her doctor. So she could see her doctor, and the doctor could see her, and he could ask her questions. She could ask him questions. And of course, with her little flip phone, she could not do that. So that is something that our volunteers have been doing that, like I said, COVID has shut some of our stations down, but then again, we have some stations that are going even harder because of COVID.
Donna, I'm sorry, but
okay,
that's
sorry.
okay.
Oh, can I talk about how much we're asking? I don't know if you have it in front of you, how much we have asked for. I'm sorry, let me do that real quick. We are asking for $3,080. Supplies for that we use for copy paper, printer, and cardstock, stamps when we send out letters is over $1,300. We have a recognition luncheon, and I was going to tell you that this year we did a recognition drive-through where we give our volunteers, we gave them all gift cards to Kroger and T-shirts and masks like I was wearing or am wearing or about to wear. And just, that's what we need. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next is the Upper Cumberland State Veterans Cemetery. Ms. Donna Fair. I want to remind everybody, too, you will get another opportunity when we have our nonprofit review committee meetings to speak. This is basically for all the commissioners that are not on that committee so they can get to see some of what each of you are about. So don't think this is just the only time you'll get to represent your group. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Donna Fair. I am a veteran, and I am the chair of the Upper Cumberland State Veterans Cemetery Association. We formed in 2013 to help the Tennessee Department of Veterans Services find land and to raise money to have a state veteran cemetery in the Upper Cumberland. And the Upper Cumberland is a 14-county region, which Warren County is part of, that formed this committee so to make our veterans and the public aware of this need. Currently, there are 5 state veteran cemeteries in the state. There are 2 in Knoxville, 1 in Nashville, 1 in Memphis, and a new one at Parker's Crossroads out near Jackson, Tennessee. So the Upper Cumberland area was a big void for a state veteran cemetery. The goal is to have a state veteran cemetery within 75 miles of any place in the state. And so obviously the Upper Cumberland is lacking. What will our organization do with the money that we're requesting? Initially, we approached this commission, all counties in the 14 region, to help us fund the purchase of the land by donating $10 for every veteran in your county. And at that time, Warren County had a little over 2,700 veterans, so we requested about $27,000. We got $2,000, and we appreciate that, because a lot of people did not understand how the land had to be purchased. And so some counties were very reluctant about donating funds, but 10 counties out of our 14 have donated at least $10 per veteran for the people in their county. Tonight, I'm only here to ask you for $5,000 because we have great news. Our committee raised over $200,000 since 2013, and we gave $200,000 to the state in December 2019 for land that was purchased in White County. And I apologize for only bringing 10 handouts, but I thought it was just the Budget and Finance Committee tonight, so I thought I would have enough just for that group. The land is on Country Club Road in Sparta. It's right outside the city limits, very close to the golf course. There was 127 acres that the state purchased for about $600,000. So it was really a pretty good deal because most places that cost of land was a lot higher than what was actually purchased. So the $5,000 that we're asking for, now that the land has been purchased, is to help improve the amenities at the cemetery. Because we're in Tennessee and we're in the South, there will be a committal chapel built by the National Cemetery Association, since they design and actually build the cemetery. However, because we're a southern state, it's an open-air pavilion. And so if we want it to be climate controlled, enclosed with heating and air conditioning, we have to raise those funds ourselves so that the Cemetery Association will approve an enclosed building. And that's what I'm asking you for this evening, is to help support the enclosure of the committal chapel. If I have a minute, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them. I've got a few handouts that Executive Haley passed around, and I'd be glad to provide more of those handouts or more information for any that might be interested.
Dr. Fair.
Yes, sir.
I was on Budget and Finance 2 years ago when you came before us, and at that time, $2,000 was all you requested from us at that time.
That may be true. That's correct.
Thank you, Donna.
Can I add one other thing if I got another minute?
We're already over, but
Thank you.
that's okay. Thank you. Next up is Warren County A&L Fire. I believe that's Regan Kelsey.
Thank y'all. I'm Regan Kelsey, president of the fire. I've compiled some stuff just to give you a brief rundown. I think most people have heard of the fire in Warren County. It was established in 1954 with the purpose of promoting agriculture and livestock-related activities in Warren County. In the 67 years since our formation, we've grown to become the third largest county fair in the state. First is Wilson County with reported attendance of around 500,000. Williamson County is second at 200, and we're third at around 150. That's pretty significant considering they're both in the top 10 in population in the state. We're 37th, I believe. As impressive as that may sound, the truly incredible part is we've accomplished this as a free fair. We've been free since 1954. It's in our charter to be free, and as far as any of us are concerned, we'll stay that way. Nobody in the state is doing that. That's something that anybody that's ever been to the fair or has ever been participated in it should be proud of. All of this is made possible by a small and dedicated group of volunteers. We've got around 45 active board members. I don't know how many total we have. That's how many active. Probably double that many volunteers, people that just come out and help. It's also made possible by the tremendous community support that we have from organizations like the County Commission, who actually created the fair in 1954 and has supported us financially. Our sponsors, vendors, and people that come out and participate. Without community support, it just would not happen. The fair is, of course, the largest event in Warren County. It's also the largest event in any surrounding county. Bonnaroo had an attendance of 80,000 in 2019. Of course, we're around 150 for a 10-day event. We don't have the economic impact that they have. We estimate our economic impact at $500,000 on the local economy. 13 11 of the 13 food booths that we have belong to a church, school, civic organization, or nonprofit. They make about 200,000 of that. So you can see that the money that we generate has far-reaching effect throughout the entire community. A lot of people say the fair takes a lot of money out of the community. It puts far more into it than it has ever took out. One way to look at the funding for the fair that the commission has provided throughout the years is you're getting, I think the last couple of years we asked for $10,000, we're putting $500,000 back in the local economy. I'd like to find something I could get a return on like that. There's also some intangibles. That's you come together and you celebrate life in Warren County, the past, the present, and the future. One thing that we're wanting to do this year, we're requesting $15,000 to be used for a roof on our shop. It was built in the mid-'70s and it's never been touched. It's in very bad shape. The bid's actually just a little bit under that, but we've padded it just a little bit because the cost of things are going up. We expect the cost to grow, but that's what we're going to do with it. And that's about all I've got. I thank y'all for your time.
Thank you, Regan. All right, next is the Warren County Emergency Food Bank.
Hello, my name's Helen Owens, and I'm one of the volunteers at the food bank along with my husband. I've been there about 1.5 years. I also serve on the board. Our purpose of the Warren County Emergency Food Bank is to provide food for those in crisis, and whether that be lack of food or if they're just low on supplies. And our clients are referred to us by the UCHRA, and occasionally we serve the homeless people. Now we take those homeless people and we give them information on how they can get help in other ways, such as the home ministry that operates here in Warren County. The food that we give them is good basic food staples. Mac and cheese, we give them potatoes, dried beans, peanut butter, lots of cans of food, soups, crackers, just good basic food. In March and April of 2020, we experienced a big surge in clients due to the pandemic, with so many experiencing unemployment. And we serve people of all ages. Sometimes we'll have people like a young couple with children, or we may have an elderly person living by themselves, or like I said, a homeless person. So we're diverse in our clients. You never know who you're gonna meet or what you're gonna be, the situation that's gonna come to your door. And we'd like to be able to serve all those people. So we are requesting $2,000, and what we will use that $2,000 for is for that good basic food that we give out to people. Right now, we're experiencing a low time in our clientele, a decrease in our numbers, and I think that's probably due to the stimulus checks received. But as we know, those stimulus checks aren't going to last forever. So we do need the $2,000. We want to be prepared to serve Warren County. And I will say this, we are often given donations from Warren County. Excuse me. We're often given donations from Warren Countyans, whether it be monetary or whether it be food staples of their own pantry that they bring to us. And I'm just very blessed to serve in this way and to experience the generosity of people here. You know, the pandemic brought people together in a sense that they all pulled together to help. So
Thank you.
We are asking for $2,000, and we'll do our best to be good stewards of that.
Thank you, Helen.
Thank you.
Next is the Warren County Rescue Squad, Brad Hillis. Chad, sorry.
I've been called a lot worse.
I've been here a while.
That's okay. Hey, good evening, Commissioners. We appreciate this opportunity every year to come before you and let you know sort of what we do over the year, and appreciate your consideration for funding. The Warren County Rescue Squad has been serving the citizens of Warren County since over 66 years. We provide emergency services as far as rope rescue, swift water rescue, searching for lost persons, and recovery of drowned victims. We also assist the local law enforcement agencies when required. We also assist the local utility companies and road departments in times of severe and inclement weather. We also provide mutual aid to other rescue squads across the state of Tennessee if requested. Of course, Warren County Rescue Squad, as I just mentioned, has been in business for 66 years. We've got a lot of dedicated volunteers, professional volunteers. Last year when Putnam County had their incident with tornado, we several of us went up there and we were first on the scene with a group of people up there. So we got to see firsthand what devastation that was. So without your support, we couldn't do stuff like that. So it's not just Warren County we reach out to; it's all the surrounding county. So we do appreciate your support. I don't know if you guys get the actual breakdown, but we're asking this year for $28,644, which includes training, takes care of some of our insurance. We've also got a couple vehicles that we're still paying for, so we appreciate that. Also, the miscellaneous first aid supplies and uniforms and things like that. We're trying to, every so often, we try to upgrade some of our communication equipment, and of course building maintenance as well. So a total of $28,644. We'd appreciate your consideration. I'll be glad to take any questions or anything you might have.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
we got
Mr.
several
England.
more.
We have 3 more.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, next is the Warren County Senior Center, Lana Whitlock.
Good evening, excuse me. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, County Executive Haley, and the full court for letting me come out tonight to speak. For some of you, my name is, if I don't know you, my name is Lana Whitlock. I am the director of the Warren County Senior Center. I took on this role in July of 2019. You never know what you're going to face at the Senior Center, so it's everybody, we have different things that go on every day. Some things are great things and some are new challenges. Whenever I took this position, our membership was sitting at 453 people. On our rolls, we have 996 people as of right now. On an average, we have anywhere from 90, 92 people up to 135 people a day that come through our senior center since I've taken on the directorship. So we have a lot of people that come in and out, especially if it's days that we're cooking. So anyway, so I wanted to tell you a little bit about prior to COVID and after COVID, because as you know, COVID has shut down everything. It shut down our fundraising, just about everything that we can do to the public. But we've still been there since COVID, okay? We've been there every day. We just not had our doors open. During that time, we have offered so many different services, guys. You'll never know what all we've provided. We've helped rehouse displaced seniors due to domestic assault. We've helped with food boxes. We've helped with telephone reassurance. We've helped even buy medication for seniors that can't afford their medication. And you're talking $6.60-something, guys. We have seniors in this county that go without. They choose what they buy on a daily basis. So what we offer is we're a resource center for our seniors. Any member in Warren County that's 60 and older can contact us. We're there for them. We can speak with them by phone or in person. We offer anything that's helping them sign up for commodities, LIHEAP services, food stamps, even insurance. We've even helped a lady recently that her spouse died. He was a veteran. And we know what that's like filling out paperwork. So we've worked with her getting her veterans benefits. So, just a different, it's so hard to compare now to what it was because of COVID. We just recently opened back up last week. We're learning to crawl before we run again, so we're taking baby steps in that situation. So we are open to the public 4 days a week right now in 2 sessions. We are closed currently on Wednesday because we offer a hot meal service. That's something I wanted to touch base with you. With our hot meal service, we continued that in the beginning of COVID, guys. I counted, we have served 5,586 meals through our little kitchen at the senior center. Okay, these are home cooked meals. Some of you may have came by and had lunch with me. There's a couple of you in here that's eaten with me. In the beginning of COVID, we provided meals to our seniors that could not get out. We had 17 routes. Each day we cooked 263 meals. That money, guys, came out of my budget. We're not contracted with anybody. That came out of our little budget there. We provided those meals to seniors at no cost on our home deliveries. So that's, you know, it's hard whenever you can't do fundraising. So I could talk to you guys all night long about everything we do at the senior center, but I get 4 minutes. So we've got all kinds of different things. I'm not even going to go off my paper that I've got here. Guys, it's so important that we offer these services. It's not just a place we play bingo. We offer everything and everything there, okay? So I encourage each of you to come. We are asking for the same amount that we have previously gotten in the last couple of years. That's $26,000. We are currently funded through the county, the city, and the Upper Cumberland Development District. And we get a little bit of a FEMA grant. The rest of it is all fundraised through our thrift store, through what we could have done with events at the senior center, but we've not been able to do that. So that is what we're asking for, is the $26,000. I encourage each of you, if you've not been to the senior center, come by and see me.
Thank you, Lana.
Okay.
Next is Young Men United, Miss Rita Ramsey.
Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, I am Rita Ramsey. I'm not a man, but I am a member of Young Men United. I am their spokesperson, of course. I just want to say some good news about Young Men United. We are the longest African-American organization still in existence in Warren County. We have acquired the Bernard Gym, and we're trying to bring it back to life. Bernard, of course, some of you may or may not know, is the oldest African-American school here in Warren County. The school was torn down in 1974, but the gym exists. So we're revitalizing that at this time. During this year, the past year, with the pandemic, we have slowed down some on revitalization, but we're back full force. We did this past year get the John A. Lewis Award from the NAACP chapter of Upper Cumberland. We were also sponsored in the Ben Lomond Connects this past year. So we're going forward. We're trying to do great things. We want to offer more services here in Warren County, not just because we're located in the city, but we appreciate the prior help from the county, and we hope you all will continue that so we can continue to move forward. The actual school will be 100 years old in January, so we're planning a big celebration for that. And if you haven't stopped by, we invite you to stop by and see what we've done from where the city had the water department to where we are now. And I'll be glad to answer any questions. Yes, sir. It is off of Bersheba Street. The actual street is Bernard Drive. If you're familiar with Ramsey Park, it's right next door to Ramsey Park. If you go out Bersheba Street, there's the Clark United Methodist Church. It's there. The hill goes up. That's Bernard Drive. Right.
Mm-hmm.
How much money are you requesting? I'm requesting $8,000. Thank you all for your time, and like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to call me.
Thank you. Thank you. Next is Home Group.
Thank you all for allowing us to be here tonight. My name is Tina Higgins, and I am co-director of Homeless of McMinnville Effort. or we are more commonly known as HOME. My other co-director, Sheila Fan, is in the audience tonight. We are probably the newest organization in town. We began early 2020, and when we began, we could not have predicted COVID. And when everyone else was shutting down, we were just getting started, but it was very timely because we were looking at people that were being released from jail. They had nowhere to go. We were looking at people that were living in motels that had lost their source of income, and they didn't know how to get the stimulus check. They didn't have bank accounts where it would automatically go in. We went out and helped them get their stimulus checks. Currently, since our inception in early 2020, we have assisted more than 300 individuals that were homeless or on the brink of homelessness. We've served over 4,000 hot meals. We provided weekly showers for people living on the streets. We provided tents and supplies for people that are living in the woods. We provide motel rooms. In February alone this year, we spent $7,400 in motel rooms, keeping people out of the extreme temperatures and the bad weather. We had one of our homeless men lose toes from being out in the weather. We are a resource for 911, so we are the organization that never closes. 24/7 we are available. 911 calls us when they find people on the street. The hospital calls us, Cheer Mental Health calls us, the community calls us. We're the first call when someone is out in the weather. We're able to put them in a motel, and then we're a hands-up organization. And I might add that we do not have a staff. We have 50 to 60 volunteers, and it is all volunteers. No one is paid a salary. Everything we get goes back into the efforts to help the homeless community. We're asking for $7,000. $4,000 of that would be to help us supplement for our motels, $3,000 for tent supplies. And I just want to add that when I say we're a hands-up organization, that is truly what we try to be. We're not about taking care of someone. We are about seeing them get to their next steps, seeing them get to where they can become productive members of society. And, we want to give them a better opportunity. And you're talking about people that society have forgotten. And when home came along, that was what we wanted to do, was we wanted to show these people that they're not forgotten, that somebody does care. And we've had success stories, and I know we don't have time for that tonight, but we've helped a gentleman get his cataract surgery. He was homeless because he could not see to work, and he's now had cataract surgery on both eyes. We have helped people get jobs and just move on to their next level. And we have a young autistic man that's working, but he lives in a tent, and we feed him meals. We provide clothes, blankets, things such as that. That's just a few of the services that we offer.
Thank you, Tina. All right, I believe that is the conclusion of our nonprofits for the night. Are there any announcements? Executive Haley.
I've got a couple. As most of you know, one of the biggest fundraisers for Meals on Wheels, another one of our support agencies, is Ride the Strip, and that'll of course be May the 1st, so several of you participate in that. Beth Stevens, who is part of UCHRA's transportation system. Some of you have seen this, and I've got brochures if you're interested. The My Ride, it's a ride share program that they're kicking off in Warren County. It got put on hold. And so if you'd like to get brochures on this to be a volunteer driver, they would appreciate it. Talk to her today. We will be doing a strategic plan through 3-Star. Of course, Main Street McMinnville is part of Economic Community Development with the state, and our Joint Economic Community Development Board and 3-Star are all part of that, but we'll be doing strategic planning both this week and next week to put our vision plans for the next 3-Star grant cycle. A reminder, I think I sent that out, but we've had several COVID deaths in Warren County. And there is some FEMA money to help indigents with burial expenses. So if you know someone in need, we've already connected some folks with those funding mechanisms. If you'll reach out to me in my office, we'll help connect you with the right people. And then next week, I'll be doing another BLTV live stream show at 10 o'clock. And so we've had to kind of put that on hold for a little while. I was going to start doing it once a month. But my guest this next week will be Jeff Lash, who is the director of TVA. And he'll be talking about the new infrastructure plan and power grids and moving forward with electric vehicles and how our communities can be served with using some of our COVID monies to be investing in the future. So he'll be my guest, as well as Mr. Swallows and several people from the community as part of our COVID team. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Helton.
I would like to give Graves Family Pharmacy a shout out. They're the ones that help us do all of the clinics that we did, and to remind everybody that there will be a second wave of clinics if they got their first shot. So you'll need to be looking out for each one of your districts and those dates so that you can get your second shot for COVID. And I was going to make a motion to adjourn, but I think Jimmy Haley's got
I was
something.
just going to say, the health department also, Andrea wasn't here to remind me that they're still doing the vaccine clinics and going on site and doing the daily vaccinations. They're also at the health department, and they will they're planning on going to schools and some of the businesses as well. So, and the Grays will be individuals that I'll be recognizing in the next month. So I was going to surprise everybody, but I'm going to do that for next month as part of our recognition as well, for them working with my office and others in here to help do those clinics. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Taylor.
I'd like to make a motion we adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have from Commissioner Helton. Anyone want to speak to that? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.